It's Kelly Lehman from Cranberry Fields Flower Farm, and I wanted to give you a very quick Limelight Hydrangea update. I had a great question from one of our Flower Tribe members. This came from Robin Wilson. She's in North Alabama, and she asked, what happens if I don't prune back some of the Limelight hydrangeas or some of my hydrangea heads? Where will the new blooms come in? So I did a few videos showing you what some of my Limelight hydrangeas look like in my secret garden, and I don't get a chance to prune back or even deadhead a lot of my hydrangeas because we have hundreds of them here at Cranberry Fields Flower Farm. So I said, if you don't get a chance to deadhead them, it's not a big deal. You'll still get blooms. The best idea is to deadhead them because your plant's just going to be healthier. It's going to be happier. It's not going to have all the dead weight of all those heavy blooms on them. And sometimes these heavy blooms also cause like moisture issues. They'll trap all that rainwater on them and they get kind of mushy. And it's just like a real strain on the actual plant. But listen, sometimes we can't get out to our gardens and we can't do like the best garden practices on all of our flowers, and that's okay. And I want you to know that you don't need to stress about doing everything perfectly in your garden. And I feel like a lot of people don't grow flowers or have gardens because they're afraid that they're not going to get a chance to do everything perfectly right, and their gardens aren't going to be perfectly manicured. And I want to tell you that you don't have to worry about that. Like, a lot of the flowers in my garden are like a disaster. Like, they look like this right now. They shouldn't have these blooms on them. This plant should have been cleaned up, and that's okay. Like, it's not a big deal. So don't sweat the small stuff, guys. I really feel like, God put these flowers here on earth for us to be happy and not to stress about them. So here's what's going to happen. I want to show you the answer to Robin's question. Like, where do those new flowers come from if you don't do the best gardening practices, and if your Limelight hydrangeas or your other hydrangeas look like this? And guys, as I'm walking over here, if you're enjoying some of my tips, if you can give me a thumbs up. And please feel free to subscribe to this YouTube channel and hit that bell notification so you know whenever I post another fun free flower tip video. That would be awesome. I'd love to have you as part of our flower tribe. So let's kind of, come in closer to this bloom here. So this is, the flower head from last year. It's super heavy and it rained out, so it's super, super soggy. But I want you to see, these are the new Limelight stems that are coming through. This is like that new growth. And here it is. It's May here in my New Jersey hardiness zone, planting zone 6, and this is where those new flowers are coming from. So even though I didn't, deadhead this flower head like I should have, it's not going to prevent me from having blooms because I'm going to have 3 gorgeous blooms coming off of this old stem. But the best practice would be to come in here and, kind of go up this little stem here. I'm going to go right above where those new stems are coming in, and I'm going to give it a deadheading. So I'm just going to clip it right off. So that's like the best practice. And you could have even done that, way back in like fall. You could have deadheaded it. You could have deadheaded them in winter. You could have deadheaded them. You can deadhead a flower like any time during the year because you're not really pruning it back. Now, the pruning back rules are a whole nother story because you want to make sure that you don't prune them back. Oh, hey, who's this? Butterfly 23 Faith. You love that it's not that it's a tree, not a shrub. Oh, I'm going to get to that in a minute. I'm glad that you just gave me that comment. I appreciate that. Okay, so let's go back to this. So I forgot what I was saying. Oh my God, old age. Hey Z, good morning. I just totally had a senior moment. Anyway, what I was saying is you don't always, you have to worry about what time of year to prune a hydrangea, because sometimes if you prune them at the wrong time of year, you can cut off this year's flowers. But that's usually the case with your mop head hydrangeas, your endless summers, your Nikos. Those are the ones that come in on that old, like the old wood. So make sure that you don't go out there and prune back your hydrangeas in spring. However, if you have hydrangeas like your Limelight, your Annabelle, the ones that have like those big poofy white hydrangeas, those are the hydrangeas that come in on that new growth, and you'll see that right here. So at this time of year, since it's May, I really wouldn't do any kind of heavy pruning on any hydrangea because you're going to cut off. Like if I went in there and I kind of pruned all these back, I would be cutting off these 3 giant white flower blooms from this year. However, other Flower Tribe members have asked me if they can just do like a quick cleanup on their hydrangea at this time of year. Like some of them say like their stems are, going out onto the sidewalk and they wanted to clean it up, and that's okay. That's not a big deal. Here, Shadow came out to join us. I'm not sure where Lucy is right now. So it's okay to do like a little cleanup, you know, cut back just some of the branches that might be, you know, sticking out over your sidewalks. That's not a big deal, but do not go in there and prune back. Like I did a heavy pruning of this hydrangea, this limelight that's next to it. I cut this limelight hydrangea back by 1/3 in the beginning of spring when it was still dormant, so that's okay. Let's see, I caught you live north. Oh, Lower Michigan. Hey, nice to see you, Michigan. So let's go back to that tree form question from our butterfly faith person. So yeah, so if you want to have a limelight hydrangea that is in a tree form, you basically, you know, just start kind of cutting back the branches from the base. So like if you start shaving off, and this is once again, you would do this when the plant is dormant. You can start cutting off some of those branches from the base of the plant to give it more of like a lollipop structure. And you could do it like as thin as you want. This tree is starting to look a little more like almost more like a tree form, or well, it's kind of in the middle of like that bush form and the tree form. But if you wanted to have like that lollipop tree look, then you would just cut off a lot of those, you know, like branches from the bottom here when the plant is dormant, and you know, you'll have more of like that tree form. So someone said, let's see if we have, oh, I missed your comment just now. I'm gonna go back and try to find it. Hold on. Trying to reconnect. Oh, I think I got you guys back here. Okay, sorry, my internet went a little wonky just now. So anyway, so that's the story with the tree form and with the regular form. And so I'm trying to see what else I could tell you about this limelight hydrangea. Here's Shadow. She wants to be live, clearly. Hello, I see you. At this point, I would actually come in here and I'm gonna do a little more deadheading of this plant just to show you once again the difference between the deadheading. So the deadheading is going up that stem, giving it a quick cut. And you know, listen, the plant looks a lot better when you do this also. And another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of these like spindly looking stems. So you can do this at any time during the year too. So I've got these really strong, powerful stems that look like this. Like, you guys are saying hi to Shadow. Hi, Shadow. She's like, finally, some attention. Lucy's always getting the attention. So this is like a really, really strong branch up here. You can tell how thick it is. It's like 1 inch around probably the base. But then I've got a ton of these like spindly, crummy looking ones. And these are just going to give me really like tiny blooms. They're not going to be that magnificent. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wind up just giving these guys a clip. I'm going to go right above like a fresh set of, you know, like strong looking leaves over here, and I'm going to clip off that spindly part. And the same thing over here. It's going to come over here. This guy's kind of, you know, the stem kind of goes straight, and then it goes kind of wonky up, like in like it's kind of like a U-turn. So that's going to give me like a really weird branch. So I'm just going to I'm going to go down, get rid of that U-turn there, and I'm going to go down to a fresh set of leaves and give it a cut, because now that branch is going to come out straighter, and it's just going to be like a better looking branch. So that's kind of all I'm doing on this plant right now. Hey from Addison, Illinois. Hey Stanley, how are you? Thanks for checking in, guys. I love when you guys let me know where you're from. I appreciate that. I love to see how our flower tribe's growing around the globe each week. I find that just fascinating. So what else can I tell you guys about this plant? This one should have some mulch around the base. So once again, I'm showing you, you know, one of my garden blunders. These are not best gardening practices, and it's okay because I still have beautiful flowers back here. This plant at the base should have that grass taken away from it, and I should have like a little bit of mulch around it to ensure that it traps in the moisture. So it's still doing okay, but it would grow much better if I pulled that grass away, because the grass and the hydrangea right now are both competing for the nutrients in the soil. They're both competing for that water. So to make my plant happier, I'm going to come in here, I'm going to remove that grass from the base, and I'm going to lay down some mulch. And you can see that over here in my secret garden, I did a much better job. So this was like a great cleanup over here. I took much better care of the plants that were here, and I'll take a walk over here just to show you better gardening practices. So yeah, so in the beginning of May, I try to do this really early, because the earlier I can get in here with this garden cleanup, and get rid of those weeds, I don't have to worry about the weeds like, you know, hunkering down, getting really large, and then it's really hard to get rid of them. So I try to come out here, you know, in the beginning of like April or May, and I'll get rid of all those weeds. I'll lay down some mulch, because if there's a lot of mulch, there's less sunlight that reaches those weeds, and then the garden just stays a lot cleaner, and it's just a lot easier. And then over here, I've got a beautiful butterfly bush And so this is going to attract a load of butterflies, and I didn't get a chance to pruning this butterfly bush back. So I will get in here now, even though it's got some new growth on it. I'm going to do a little bit of a light pruning because that's just going to encourage more branches to come out. And I have a lot of these dead, you know, like blooms on it right now. Shadow's coming over here again. Hello, I see you. So once I'm going to do the same thing that I just did on my Limelight. I'm going to get rid of some of those spent blooms. I'm not going to give it a heavy pruning because it is already, you can tell I have all this new growth. So you never want to do like a heavy pruning on a plant that's already pushing forth a lot of new growth. But I can, at any time during the year, get rid of the dead flowers. So once again, I'm going to be doing just the deadheading. And some of these sticks I can see on this butterfly bush, they're actually, they look like they're dead. So if they're white on the inside or they have holes in them, you could definitely get rid of them. Hey, Cynthia from St. Louis. Temps are in the Midwest have been hotter than normal. Oh, wow. So I love when you guys let me know your weather too. I know that sounds so geeky, but I love weather and I love geography. So we've got some crazy hot temps coming our way soon, but it was really cold here. Like we actually were in like a cold spell here. It was down to the 40s for the past couple days. And Shell and I actually went to Lake Placid where it was 85 degrees in like, you know, Lake Placid, New York this weekend, which is so wacky. So thank you for letting me know about the weather in your neck of the woods. I love that. So it sounds like you guys are going to be dealing with some heat. So I'm going to get rid of more of these deadheads here. I've got some beautiful, you know, flowers in here that attract the butterflies. I've got some gorgeous monarch butterflies in here, and I've got, you know, like just like loads and loads of plants that attract them. We've got our peonies coming up over here. And just while I'm here with the peonies, let's see. One of the things with the peonies, people always ask me about the ants. Now, there's some ants on here right now. I'm not sure if you can see them. I think he just went underneath here. It's okay to have ants on your peonies because there is like a sticky substance on top of these new bulbs, or I shouldn't say bulbs, of these new buds. There's a sticky substance and it's very sweet and the ants love it and they basically just kind of eat it off and it does not affect the peony in a negative way. There's also, some people feel that it actually helps the peonies open up once that, like, you know, syrupy stuff is gone. So I always let the ants alone. There's the ant right there. You can see him. I always leave them alone. So that's just my take on leaving the ants alone in the garden. And what else can I tell you about what's coming up here? Yeah, so I think that's about it. All right, guys. Let me know in comments below what the weather's like by you, where you're viewing this from, and if you have any garden questions. So this entire video was based off of Robin's questions, and I want to thank you for always giving me great questions to answer on my YouTube channel and also on my podcast. Guys, please check out my new podcast. I can use some reviews, to be honest with you, because I'm the new kid on the block. So there's a link to it in descriptions below. And I am on all the podcasts wherever you listen to it, on either Spotify or Apple or Google. But if you wouldn't mind doing me the favor of hopping over to one of them and just listening to like one or two of the podcasts. And if you like it, just give me a couple stars because that would help us. It would help me to like have other gardeners find us on that podcast. And listen, guys, I will see you in the next video. Have a blessed Sunday. Say goodbye, Shadow. I'll give you one more close-up of this poor cat who doesn't get enough attention. Now you're the star of the show. Don't tell Lucy.